Ever lost like an important file and you get that panicky feeling?
Yeah.
Oh, that one. Where you're just like searching through endless folders trying to remember, when did I last touch that presentation? Where's that design mock-up?
Oh, yeah.
It's like you almost feel your memory fading by the second.
Totally.
But get ready for Microsoft to like blow your mind because their latest AI tool, Recall, it's like they're promising it's going to be like a superpower for your computer.
Okay, that got my attention.
Right. So we did a deep dive into this fascinating BBC article all about it. And
Lay it on me.
okay, so picture this. You need that file, right?
Yeah.
But instead of like the frantic search, you just type in a few keywords. Maybe even just like a vague description of what it looked like. And bam, Recall finds it for you.
Wow, so it's like Google search, but for everything you've ever done on your computer.
Exactly. It's like having an AI constantly taking screenshots and then understanding what's in them. From presentations to websites, code you were working on, even that embarrassing browser tab you accidentally opened.
Oh, no. Everything.
It's all fair game.
Okay, so that's where things get a little interesting, I think, from both like a technological standpoint, but also a privacy perspective.
Yeah.
Because we're not just talking about like organizing files here, right?
Yeah.
We're talking about capturing someone's entire digital footprint.
Yeah, and the internet being the internet, everyone immediately jumped on that whole privacy nightmare bandwagon.
Understandably.
Right. I mean, the potential is there. Imagine someone getting a hold of all that data. It's not just what you do online, it's how you work, what you think about, even like your little digital quirks.
It really is unprecedented. I mean, we've had things that track your browsing history or log your keystrokes, but this is different. It's like having a security camera for your mind,
Yeah.
like constantly recording your digital activities.
It even caught the attention of the ICO. You know, the UK's data watchdog.
Oh, wow, really?
Yeah, apparently they had some serious questions for Microsoft about how they plan to handle this whole recall thing, and honestly, I don't blame them.
No, not at all.
Yeah.
Like, think about it. We're talking about potentially really sensitive information, work documents, personal conversations, all of that being captured and analyzed. It really raises the stakes when it comes to data security and user privacy. So with all this heat around this, you got to be wondering, did Microsoft just scrap Recall and pretend it never happened?
Right, like just quietly sweep it under the rug.
Well, they didn't go that far. They hit pause on the rollout. It was supposed to launch with their new Copilot computers, remember? But it seems like they're really determined to make this Recall thing work, even with all the pushback.
So they're doubling down but trying to address those privacy concerns at the same time.
Yeah, exactly. Trying
Yeah.
to thread that needle. The BBC article outlined a few key changes they made.
Okay, so let's unpack those. First up, and this one seems like a no-brainer. Recall is no longer a default setting. You have to choose to opt in and use it.
Which is a step in the right direction.
Absolutely.
It shifts that dynamic a bit, right?
Yeah.
Instead of assuming that you're okay with this level of data collection, they're forcing you to make a more conscious decision.
But let's be real for a sec. Most people just click next until that software installs right. Like, how many people actually go in and dig into those privacy settings?
Right. That's the million-dollar question, isn't it? It hinges on users understanding what it is they're opting into. And let's be honest, that's not always crystal clear, even for people who consider themselves pretty tech-savvy.
It's like reading those terms and conditions. We all just scroll to the bottom and click agree, hope for the best.
Exactly. But to be fair to Microsoft, they are trying to make the security side of things more robust. They're really emphasizing that all those screenshots that Recall takes, they're encrypted, like Fort Knox level encryption.
So even if someone got a hold of my data, they wouldn't be able to read it without my fingerprint or like whatever biometric lock they're using.
That's the idea. They're really leaning into biometric security, facial recognition, fingerprints, as like the key to accessing your Recall data. It's like your own digital vault, with you as the only key holder.
That does make me feel a bit better, I have to admit. But is it enough, though? Even with the encryption and the biometrics, we're still talking about like an insane amount of data being captured.
Yeah, you're hitting on the crux of the issue, I think. These are good steps, but they don't actually change that fundamental concern, which is the sheer volume and the detail of the information that's being collected.
And there's still that whole diagnostic data thing, right?
Yeah.
The article mentioned that Microsoft might still be collecting that, even if you tweak your privacy settings.
Right, and that's where things get a little murky. What exactly is diagnostic data? I mean, it could be anything from how often you use certain apps to whether your computer tends to crash a lot.
So, potentially embarrassing stuff, but not necessarily like top secret information.
Potentially. But here's the thing. Even if it's anonymized, even if it's just data points in a sea of information, It still contributes to a very detailed picture of your digital habits. And that picture over time, it can reveal a lot.
Okay, so we've got these changes from Microsoft, but it sounds like there's still some major question marks.
Absolutely. And this is where I think the conversation needs to go beyond just the technical aspects.
Yeah.
It's one thing to say we encrypt everything. It's another to actually grapple with the ethical implications of having this much access to someone's digital life.
It's almost like philosophical, isn't it? Like, at what point does convenience become just creepy?
It really is a slippery slope. And the
Yeah.
BBC article, they actually touched on that. They quoted this cybersecurity expert, Professor Alan Woodward. He's at Surrey University.
Okay.
And he seemed cautiously optimistic about the changes Microsoft has made so far.
Cautious optimism. I feel like that's like the perfect way to sum up the overall reaction to this whole recall thing.
It makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, on paper, the security and the privacy aspects, they do look a lot more robust now. But as Professor Woodward put it, the real test is how recall actually performs in the wild.
Meaning, like, once it's actually out there, being used by everyday people,
Yeah,
will those safeguards actually hold up?
exactly. Think about it. What happens if someone's account gets hacked?
Hmm.
Even with the biometric security? What if there's like a software glitch, a vulnerability that Microsoft didn't anticipate?
That's a good point. It's easy to talk about encryption like in the abstract, but in the real world, things can get messy.
For sure. And this isn't even just about trusting Microsoft either. It's about the bigger picture.
Yeah.
The implications of having this kind of technology just become normalized.
Yeah.
If recall takes off, if other companies start following suit, we're going to see like this arms race of digital memory tools.
And what does that even mean for us? Like, for our behavior? It's kind of a mind-blowing thought knowing that everything you've ever done on a computer could potentially be accessed, analyzed.
But almost like living with this permanent digital shadow. I mean,
Yeah.
will we become more cautious, more self-conscious about what we do online, knowing that nothing really truly disappears anymore?
Or will we all just become completely desensitized to it? Like, yeah, there's an AI recording my every move, but hey, at least I can find that file I lost 3 years ago.
It's a trade-off. There's
Yeah.
no doubt about it. And it's one that everyone's going to have to weigh for themselves, I think. Do those benefits of convenience of, enhanced productivity,
Right.
do those outweigh the potential risks to your privacy?
So for all of our listeners out there, here's the takeaway. Recall is a powerful tool. There's no doubt about it. But with great power comes, well, you know the rest. Before you dive headfirst into this world of like total digital recall, ask yourself, what are you actually willing to trade for that? Is it a fair exchange? We'd love to hear your thoughts on this. Head over to our website, let us know. Is recall a glimpse into the future of productivity or a step too far into the digital unknown?